So, yep, the
I
deal
got it.
that the deal that I'm going to introduce to you is the deal that I did for the first as of my first multifamily investing with my teams back in December of 2020. We closed, and then I'm gonna show um, through slides what kind of business plan we had and how we executed, and then what kind of results we came out later. And I will share the slides with you. Okay, give me 1 second. All right. So the name of the place is called the Crescent Heights. You all see it? If you all see it, give me thumbs up. All right, great, great. So this apartment is called Crescent Heights, and this is some of the pictures that I took back then before acquiring this property. You see some cracks and pavement cracks on the parking lot. It's fixed. This is bird's eye overview. All right, so this is in Lawrence, Kansas, 1963 vintage, total 44 units, and it's all 2 beds and 1 bath. It was how we found this deal. It was my boots on the ground partner's friend who knew the seller, and the seller wanted to scale up by selling this, and so we were connected with him. The seller liked our team. So the negotiation part was really smooth. So didn't really have any issues as we negotiate the contract terms. And so we got it on the contract around September of 2020. And the person who found this deal and connected us to the seller, he became the finder. So we initially we wanted him to be our team, but he refused to that, and he wanted to just get the finder's fee. So he ended up just getting the fee, not being part of the team. And at the time, the asking price was $2 million, and then our striking price was 1.8825, and it was accepted. The seller was true mom and pop owner. I just wrote one occasion as to what happened. So when Joe was my boots on the ground partner, he asked for due diligence documents. The seller just dumped with a big box and filled with all these documents, due diligence documents, not even PDF file. So Joe had to kind of sort it out and then manually scan in and turn that into a PDF. So he was truly mom and pop. And our ROI, as I said, accepted in September 2020 and got that on the contract in October. He was motivated seller, as I said. The only condition that he had was, I will give this deal to you, to your team, as long as you can close this in 2020. And we said, yes, of course, let's do it. So we got that on the contract. When we took it over, the average rent was approximately $150 to $200 lower than the surrounding apartments, right? So at the time, it was about $500, $510 was the average of the 44 units. Our underwriting increase of $50 each year. That was with our underwriting so that we could reach certain amount every year. However, in the actuality, we knew that this property has huge upside because of that low rent. And then we realized the new tenants was already paying $620. Then it's almost $100 more. So our plan was, okay, let's push this rent and see if we can raise this to about $100, $150 in average in about a year. So that was our initial plan. So we tried to test the market. So without fixing anything, no renovation, no turning, the tenants who was just whose lease was the due to renew, we suggested a $6 rent bump, and the tenant was okay with that. So we thought to ourselves, okay, $60 rent bump is not getting any pushback, so let's try a little more and see if we turn a units, how much we can get. So Second floor, and then so it's a two-story units, right? So second floor, we try to turn with new carpets and then just plain white paintings and no luxury vinyl planks. It's just a carpet. And first floor was luxury vinyl plank, and then fresh paints. And there was a door. It was like a double doors, and we turned that into a one door with the units, with the wall and then little window. So it looked a lot more nicer once we turned it into that. So we decided to charge $300 more for that and $200 more for just turn the units for the second floor. So that was our business plan in the beginning. At the time, economically 90% occupied, and physical occupancy was also 90% above. And the loan that we got at the time of the acquisition was 80% LTC. So LTC is loan to cost, meaning the lender is also lending 80% of rehab cost for us and 80% against the value too. And it was 4% interest rate, 25 amortization, 80%, 18 months IO. And we had to put upfront tax and insurance as a reserve. At that time, it was during the COVID, so they were really serious about the reserve. So we had to put some money in. And we had a rehab reserve of $250,000. As you can see, year one cash and cash return, that's a projected year one cash and cash return. Even then, it was about above 13%. And we were thinking about doing a cash out refi in year 2 or 3. And after that, our expected cash and cash return was 50% plus. So that was our plan when we acquired the property. And during the due diligence, it was a C-class property with deferred maintenance. Inspection revealed some issues with plumbings, mildew, and termite, anything and everything that you could think of from C minus properties. And but the seller ended up taking care of all this, so it was good. The only thing that was retradable was a roof and HVAC system was really, really old. And we asked the seller, choose, you want to fix it but for closing, or you want to give us a credit? And the seller ended up just giving us a credit and asking us how much credit we want, right? And we didn't have a firm grasp, but we came up with $100,000. So we requested $100,000 credit. Seller said, okay, I'll give you $100,000 credit. So we ended up, the purchase price was 1.825. Now with that $100,000 credit, it became 1.725 million. And now we fixed all the roofs and HVAC system is being replaced. And I recall spending $75,000. So we kind of netted about $25,000 from that $100,000 credit, which was a good deal. All right, we inherited the same property management company from previous seller. And we had new contract with 2-year term. We can terminate it anytime we want. They could terminate anytime they want. One thing I want to pinpoint is that when you go into contract with property management company, make sure in what way you can break that contract. Our contract that was given to us from property management company, they had a provision where they could terminate anytime they want, but we didn't have that. As an owner, we didn't have that provision. So we ended up copying and pasting the same language there, and and obviously they couldn't refuse to that because they had it and we didn't, and it's not fair. So now our contract says both parties, by giving 30-day notice, we can terminate for any reason and for no reason as well. So make sure you have at least on the equal amount of authority to get out of the contract if you don't like them, right? And so when I say we currently have, that's back then when we acquired the property, because I wrote down certain notes on the spreadsheet back then, and I kind of copied and pasted it here. So at the time when we took over, we had 3 vacant units. And those 3 vacant units, we plan to turn and test the market. And also throughout the initial 2-3 months of asset management, we were able to evict. Here it says one tenant, but later we had another tenant evicted. And one thing that I was surprised was with the market was we were able to evict the tenants within like 48 days or something. Unheard of in New York. In New York, it takes a year. But here, 48 days, I'm like, wow. So that was one thing I couldn't forget. And we had new floor, new paint, nothing heavy lifting, not even a cabinet. It was just painting and new floor, either LVP or carpet if it's a second floor. Again, planning at least 50-60 bucks without even turning. And then it didn't get any pushback. And washer and dryer hookups. Yes, 4 units. There were 4 units with washer and dryer hookups. That was not, so we were just giving the lowest rent for those units because it didn't have washer and dryer hookups. And so when we took over, there were over 50% of month-to-month units, 50%. And our plan was to turn them into a long-term lease, obviously. And in about the 18 months, that was our plan to cash out refi, trying to cash out refi into agency loan. So these are all business plans that we had. And so that we could keep it for generational cash flow. My role in the team throughout the asset management process was mainly handling the distributions, right? So I was the one who was setting aside the money into a reserve and setting aside some money for tax and for insurance, and then and setting aside money for the distribution, etc. For the first 6 months, we decided not to take anything. So we were just kept putting into a reserve just to make sure this property is performing. And thereafter, I started distributing 8% cash and cash return. So first 6 months worth of distribution was out based on the 8% cash and return. And then every month we started distributing 8%. And at the year end of 2021, because it performed well, I distributed more, a 10% additional. And throughout that asset management phase for 6 months, we were able to build low 6-figure reserve for pure cash flow. So you can see how much cash flowing this property was at the time. Just from cash flow, we were able to make a 6-figure reserve. And after 18 months, 59% of month to month, it became 5% month to month. So every unit, every month, what we did was we charged premium price of either $50 or $100 more for month-to-month properties. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, it's to incentivize them to convert their month-to-month into a long-term lease, right? So we started charging the premiums, and then it worked. Every time they will try to convert into a long-term lease, and that's when we were able to raise the rent. Like I said, about 50-60 bucks without even turning. With the first floor and second floor, $795 and $695. So after all that,
Yosef, I'm sorry. Are you taking questions now or later?
I could take questions later. So okay. After I go over this, because it might answer some of your questions by going through the slides. And if you still have more questions, we'll definitely touch upon that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And so we didn't turn everything. I think we renovated and turned about, I think, a little over 50%, probably 60 or 65% by now. Based on that, our average rent it was raised from $510 to $650. So it's about $140, $150 average rent up, right? And throughout that, here I noted that 2-3 tenants were evicted less than 2 months. And we had 3 to 6 delinquent tenants, but it's a government voucher. So even if they were in delinquent status, in about 2-3 months, the government will send you the check for like 3 to 6 months worth of rents. So it will be covered at once. Pros and cons. I think I personally do not prefer this government voucher, but some people do because it's like a guaranteed money. So now, I don't know if you know about this forced depreciation concept, but this is what got me into multifamily. So since if it's over 5 units, it is considered to be commercial. So its property value is strictly decided based on the income that the property is generating, right? So within the about year and a half, we were able to raise $140 average rent times 44 in a month and times 12 for a year. So that we raised net operating income about $70,000+ without even considering reducing the expenses. I'm just talking about the upside that we made, right, from the rent only. Just by looking at that, and when we acquired the property, the cap rate that we applied was about 0.7% cap rate. So if you just apply 7% cap rate, that $140 rent bump in average just pushed your property value above the $1 million, right? So based on this, we were confident that we could get the cash out refi certain amounts. So we knocked on the community banks and agencies, and we ended up going with a CBRE right before the interest hike. Around in February, we were able to lock in a good rate. So, oh, there you go. So 3.97 was interest rate. So it's a little lower than our original rate. This was right before interest hike. Thank God, right, in February. And they were able to give us 75% loan to value. So this time we don't have any rehab cost given by the lender, and 12-month IO. It was Freddie Mac through CBRE. And the CBRE came back with the newly appraised value of $3.4 million. They actually applied 5.75 cap rate. So it was a lot more than we thought because we were applying 7% cap. And they said, no, this area is gentrifying, and this area is now 5.75 cap. So value almost doubled in 18 months. So applying this 75% loan to value with this interest rates, we were able to get the proceeds after paying out the old debt. It was a little over than our initial capital that was invested into the property. So we were able to pull out the 100%. And then we have little left over. We distribute it as like a bonus. So now, after this point on, we don't have anything in this deal. So that makes our property that's yielding infinite return. And this is a few things that I learned in my take-ons. Right education is critical. But to get the right education, you need to be guided by people who are more experienced than you are. So in our team, this is my first deal, but I had Joe, who has market knowledge and as a boots on the ground. I have Handra, who's done a couple of deals as a syndication, so who knew how to kind of oversee. We had Marco as a team, as a leader, who put the team together. Obviously, he's just a lot more experienced than us, and he also time to time give us the guidance. So with this team, I was able to learn a lot, and I was able to execute upon our business plans, and I learned a lot throughout the process. So I'll just keep reading what I wrote. Then it can be people from bigger pockets or a mentorship program. So what's important is the right partnership, the team. So you need to surround yourself with highly motivated, like-minded people. Just like I mentioned, Marco, Joe, and Handra, my partners, they're all super highly motivated, high performance people, work really hard. And try to stay away from the people who drain your energy and positivity. I'm part of mastermind groups, and like Nico here, Daniel, and Ian, Monica, we're all in the same masterminds. And everybody in the group are highly positive and they have great energy. And each time when we have this groups and talk and discussions, it's just full of energy and it's great. So I'm not talking about you gotta be in a mastermind, but try to find a group that you could be affected positively and you can get the energy, not being drained. And yeah, people who share the same work ethic and philosophy and take a lot of actions. Do it, meet people, underwrite deals, and talk to the brokers and lenders, practice your pitch. Last but not least, by no means, process. So I joined my mastermind. I joined Jake and Gino multifamily groups, who I consider is one of the best groups out there. Even by joining that group, it took 10 months to do my first deal. This is my first deal that was closed in December 2020. So falling in process is important because at the time I saw other people closing left and right. I felt like, why this is not happening to me. But again, mentors like Marco told me again, look, you got to put, you got to do your part. You got to do your education. You got to just keep working hard and keep meeting people and networking. It would happen, but you just follow that and then fall in love with the process, which I did, and I enjoyed being persistent and patient, and this happened. And after that, after this first deal, I believe in the law of first deal and law of attraction. Once you attracted this first deal, it opened up the door for the second and third and fourth. So that's how I came up to this far with the team. But without the team and without the proper mentor and education, I wouldn't be able to come this far. So this is the end of my slide, and I'll stop sharing. The message I wanted to give you is this. The forced appreciation does work, and infinite return does work with the right management of the property and partnership with the property manager. I realized soon after I started asset managing with this property that the relationship with the property manager is the most critical thing. You are not literally managing the property. You are managing the property manager and you're executing the business plan. You're guiding them towards the goals that you set up. They're not the one who's gonna lead you. And we want that. Like then it will be a whole lot easier, but they don't. Like some property managers do, but not everybody is doing. So it's your job to get on top of the property managers, to get on top of your own business plan, being able to show them what you want and being an effective communicator and give them the clear path to come through, and that will be appreciated. And that's what will make your asset management side a whole lot easier. So good team, good property manager, the relationship, and your hard working will make it possible. Now this is, we call, our team calls this cash cow, because literally it's cash cow. Still cash flowing, still producing 8%. Like if you applied our initial capital, still consistently producing 8%. And I just distribute 8%, the same amount. Although if I want to, I could push myself and could distribute probably 15%. But we're not doing it because we want to just build up more reserve, because this is older property. Before, we had through the loan to cost, the lender reimbursed our capex job, but now it's all gone. So we have to fix, if at all, through our cash flow. So since given the property, the age of the property, it is important to just build enough reserve, capex reserve, in case there's an emergency. So that's what we're doing, and yet still consistently cash flowing 8% cash and cash return. So this is true. We don't want to sell this property. Truly generational wealth. For the next couple of years down the road, our tenants will build up the equity for us, and then we'll push consistently for the rent, and then it will we'll probably do another cash out refi. All right. So Yes, thank you. This is my very first deal, and still managing and still happy for this property.
Yeah, Yosef,
Good job.
love it, man.
Yeah, all of with the team. Um, oh shit. Sorry. Can you cut this off? I wanted to share the last slide, which is this. So this
Do
is
you want me to stop recording or keep recording?
yeah, you can stop recording probably now.
Okay.